Blood Raiders, the Crimson Harvest has begun. We need more corpses for the ritual. Go out there, establish bases, let the Capsuleers come to you.
How's it going, guys? This Halloween CCP brings us the event called Crimson Harvest. I believe it was also present in the past, and I jumped right into it. I want to show you guys the two kind of combat sites that I encountered. These are the Crimson Gauntlet and the Shining Flame Base. In this video you'll actually see one of my first two runs and encounters with this kind of combat sites. The first one being the Crimson Gauntlet. I had no idea what to expect out of these combat sites, so I brought my friends over and two lodges just to try them out and be able to complete them at first. In this kind of setup, the sites don't actually pose much of a challenge and it's very fast to run. And while we play the full run of the Crimson Gauntlet, let's head over to the EVE Online site and see what they're saying about this event officially. So it's the Crimson Harvest. The event returns to New Eden with brand new combat sites located all across high-sec, low-sec, null-sec, and wormhole space until the 11 UTC on 10 of November. You will choose to either fight the Blood Raiders or the Shining Flame Mercenaries, and you can venture to low-sec systems within the Bleaklands and the Void regions, as well as the Blood Raiders home systems within Delve for a greater challenge and the greatest rewards. Rewards include ISK, new and returning ship skins, fireworks, Crimson Harvest apparel, blueprints for a new Blood Raider modified mobile tractor unit, I heard that this one actually tractors corpses, powerful faction modules and implants, and limited time cerebral accelerators. As part of the returning Crimson Harvest event, there will also be a daily login campaign with more details coming very soon. And there's a part where they say that there's a new thing in the Abyssal Proving Grounds. From 30 October till 3 November, you can get stuck in a 4-player Tech-Mon frigate free-for-all as part of the new Crimson Harvest Abyssal Proving Grounds event. Combatants can enjoy double stasis web of fire range and a uniquely spooky abyssal environment during this event. Furthermore, you can get 90% module and cargo drops for any destroyed player-owned ships, as well as 90% of non-asset safety drops from structures until 11 UTC on 10 November when this event ends. Now, this sounds all fun to me, but what can we actually expect from these sites that we find? And I'm sure a lot of you are wondering, how can I run this solo? And what I found is that something like a faction battle cruiser or a decent battleship can potentially run it solo, as well as a passive Gila, although that might have issue at times. There's a pretty decent amount of incoming DPS. The NPCs are fairly tanky as well, so that can pose a challenge. Be prepared to be stuck in one of these sites anywhere between 10 minutes to 30 minutes, depending on the amount of DPS you got on your ship. The drone aggro you're gonna receive in this kind of site is gonna be absolutely insane. You're gonna have to micromanage your drones all the time. They get webbed and they get killed really quickly if you're not careful. So drone boats have a little disadvantage in the new Crimson sites. Gila is still okay because of the tankiness, but you still have to micromanage them throughout the whole site. Now, if you're thinking about a gunboat, something like a Royal Brutix Navy or something like that, you gotta be careful because there are a lot of frigates and they use a lot of Evor. So the kind of Evor you can encounter in these sites are neuting, webbing, scramming, tracking disruption, and missile disruption from what I've noticed so far. It feels like CCP was trying to bring the abyssal type atmosphere into these new Crimson Harvest sites. Since the NPCs are neuting and you're gonna be stuck in this fight for a while, you need to make sure that you can fit a cap battery or you can be completely passive, something that doesn't turn off your resistances. If you're armor repping, that can be a problem if you can't withstand the neuting. Either kill the neuting boats really quickly or have enough cap buffer like a battleship to withstand the amount of neuting. One of the most dangerous neuting boats I found was the Curse. This NPC is found in the Shining Flame base, not in the Crimson Gauntlet, although all frigates in both sides will neut. Both sides contain 3 rooms, with an inactive acceleration gate that becomes activated once you kill a certain number of wave of NPCs. There's a chance that you might get another wave afterwards, but you don't need to kill it as long as you see the acceleration gate as being active. In the first room, you'll also notice a secure acceleration gate that can be activated if you get a certain loot key from the boss, which is at the end, that says the key to the shortcut gate. Here we can see the boss of this Crimson Gauntlet spawning. It does not wait for the last NPC to die. It will appear even if you have other NPCs. I don't know what the trigger is. It could be like time based or something like that, but it could have the boss and the other NPCs in the Crimson Gauntlet at the same time. He does scram and web, and deals a fair bit of DPS. And this boss NPC is the only one that actually contains the valuable loot. I've searched many sites on the other NPCs. I could only find the normal loot you can expect from like belt rats or sight rats or something, nothing special. Once the boss is killed, you're done with the site, and you can go ahead and open up your probe scanner and see what other sites are out there. Once the site has been activated by anyone, you'll see a beacon on your overview if you have it added to that, and you can see the site there. It means someone went there before you. While in the Crimson Gauntlet, I didn't necessarily have a target priority. Maybe kill the frigates because they have the E-War, or if you're suffering on the tank, just kill the big ships that deal the most damage. In the Shining Flame base, I found that they have Augurers, which will actually remote rep each other. They will have Deacons as well, and you can actually see when you're shooting an NPC that it gets repairs from the other ones. So if you don't feel like you have enough DPS to break them, primary, the logistic ones, that will greatly increase your run speed. If you're vulnerable cap-wise, primary the curses, they newt a lot more than the little frigates, and if you're seeing that you're taking a lot of incoming damage and you can't tank it, primary the oracles, they deal I think the most damage I've seen in these new event sites. I was hit on a Gila for something like 700 to 1000 damage per hit, even if they hit a bit slower. That really stacks up, so you want a primary dose if your tank is failing. Another difference that I noticed is that the Crimson Gauntlet NPCs contain a bounty, so that will be added to your total ISK value per run. The boss actually has a 5 million bounty, which is pretty nice, while the Shining Flame base NPCs have no bounty. I did receive a bit of security status in my runs. I'm not sure where I got that from. I think it should have been from the Crimson Gauntlet ones, since they had the bounty and it makes sense, but it was a very minimal security status gain. In total, I've ran more than 10, more like 10-15 sites. Sometimes nothing good really dropped. You do get Overseer effects drops, some that are worth like 600,000 ISK, some that are worth 21 mil. And you can sell that to the NPC station for a stable price. I've got ship skins that you can't find on the market, but I don't know if anyone's really buying them right now. I think people are just farming them and hoping that they get their favorite ones. The Cerebral Accelerators sell for quite a bit if you're fast to put them on the market. I assume by the end of this event they will devalue quite greatly as everyone is getting their hands on them. Those increase your attributes by 4, 6 and 8 points, I believe, so they come in different degrees of quality, so that means you're gonna have to adjust your price when you put them on the market. I've also got these blank clones type items that I believe you can sell them somewhere in Blood Raider space for something like $1 million. I cannot confirm this stuff. I've got faction modules that seem a Mar theme, like Imperial, Navy, Energized Explosive Hardener or something like that. Nothing like D sites, but just faction type items. I got the new mobile Sanguine tractor unit or something similar that tractors in corpses, and it was a 5-run blueprint copy that I sold on the market. I think I was one of the first that I put it on the contract market. I got 300 mil for it, which was a great price. Last time I checked it was like 100, and I assume that's gonna go down greatly. And that's kind of the type of loot I received so far. There could be more. In that official CCP announcement, it says that in certain regions the rewards are better, and I don't know what those are. I've only ran them in high sec and low sec. I didn't see a difference in loot or in the difficulty depending on where they were. I think they're kind of identical. The sites do respawn, so if you would stay in like 3 to 4 system range and you circle around, there's a chance that you might get them again, but they respawn like the normal combat anomalies. It won't mean that the same site respawns in the same place always. As they're being run, I assume they're constantly respawning to different places. So one of the best locations to try to farm up these sites is if you look on the EVE map, you would check the statistic for jumps in the last hour, and you try to sort out the systems that are low population, and that might actually gather more sites there. No one is running them as much, and you can find a lot there. I found like 6 to 7 sites in certain low sec pockets that are very low population. If you plan to look for them in high sector, where it's technically more safe, you have to be aware that there's a huge competition for these sites right now. If you would loot up a yellow wreck that belongs to someone else, you become suspect and the other person can shoot you. I believe there's a lot of people baiting right now. They might even leave the wreck there for you to pick up the loot because it's so valuable and it's enticing, but then they're ready with a scrambler or disruptor to catch you and kill your ship, potentially newts. So if you're active tank, most likely that's what's gonna happen to you. It's gonna turn off your tank and he's gonna kill you even if he's in a smaller ship than you are. There's always the risk that someone else enters the site you've cleared, reaches the last room, because the gates are not just locked for you. Anyone can take them behind you, and then he gets the last hit on the boss NPC and you're in a position to steal from him, in which case again he can kill you. So sometimes maybe it's best to just let it go if you have a very expensive ship. If you plan to run it in low sec, there's other dangers as well. Of course, they don't even need to combat scan you or anything like that, or scan the signature. It's a readily available site for everyone to see. Furthermore, if you enter the site, a beacon will appear in the overview for most players out there if they have that set up, and they can warp directly to your site. Yes, they have to take the gates. You're more vulnerable in the first room, where if he's like a Cloaky, Tengu or Proteus trying to gank you, he can land right next to you, grab you and kill your ship. If you're in the second and third room, if you check D-scan, you can set it to 1 AU to see if he's right outside the gate. He'll have to pass through those gates. Even if he's Cloaky, he will uncloak as he's touching the gate, and you might catch him on D-scan and warp off. So that's one of the methods you can stay safe in this scenario. You can really turn a profit running these new Crimson Harvest sites. Make sure you don't lose your ship, because that's really gonna hurt your profit margin. Maybe you get a cool skin that you always wanted, or you get the cerebral accelerators and you train that skill for the ship you really like and stuff like that. All in all, this was a very fun experience for me, and the challenges of staying safe in low sec while running these sites, finding new ways to do them better, like using Logi on my Gila drones so that they never die. This event could be fun for you to run it solo, run it with your friends, but whatever you do, have fun. I hope you find this information useful. If you enjoy my content, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.